This is Beyond the Big Screen podcast with your host, Steve Guerra.
People want to be supportive. They don't want to support you.
Yeah.
and the reality is that most law enforcement officers are paid a pretty decent salary. It varies across the country, and some are higher than others for sure. There's a lot of disparity from even within a single state, from agency to agency. But we're not at the times that Amherst saw where he was wondering what dinner was going to be that night if he could he had to figure that out because there wasn't anything in the cupboard. That just isn't happening as much in most places in the country. Not that there aren't some places that are severely underpaid and understaffed and under-equipped. That's certainly true. But it comes down to it's a big question of ethics, right? If it's a gift that's given that's not a very substantial gift and it's merely to express support, you're probably not going to enter into any sort of ethical quandary there. But the expectation of a quid pro quo is where you definitely are. It can develop, we've talked before about noble cause corruption. It can develop from very small things. The place that offers 25-cent coffee for cops to stay awake on the road, that was part of the motivation. They don't want people crashing. And they gave it to the ambulance drivers and the bread drivers and the taxi drivers too. Anybody who's driving at night, but it was mostly targeting the cops. And hey, if you come in and get your 25-cent a cup of coffee and you knock out a couple of reports and you're there for 30 minutes on a break / working break, odds of somebody walking in and sticking the place up while you're sitting there are exceedingly low. And so there is a benefit that there's a quid pro quo that's occurring there a little bit. Is that unethical? I don't think so, but you could make that argument. And certainly it's something that we have discussed in leadership classes when we get to the ethics portion of the course. But now imagine that the owner comes in every morning and says, "Hey guys, how's it going?" And then he goes in the back and he does his books or whatever. And so they know who the owner is of this place. And now he gets stopped for a DUI. Does he expect that you're going to give him a break? Do you want to give him a break because he's a good guy and he's treated you well? The human response is yes, but is that ethical? Even just stepping back to the previous scenario, I'm in there for half an hour writing my reports, and I'm there every night for half an hour writing my reports. And so they're getting half an hour of coverage, essentially, of protection. And the Texaco half a mile away is getting zero. Is that fair? Is that ethical? I'm not saying it is unfair, and I'm not saying it is unethical. I'm saying those are questions that if you examine it from an objective viewpoint, you have to ask. But it's all happening in the human arena, right? And so, it's not, we're not robots, and neither is the public. And so the answer isn't always clear cut. Now, somebody giving you, $100 to not book them into jail, that's a different story, right? That's, or cops shaking people down for protection money or something. That's obviously not good. That's obviously criminal. That's obviously an ethics violation or whatever. Those are the easy ones. The deep water is very easy to spot, but it's when you're in the shallow end of the ethics pool that you have to, ask yourself, is this ethical or isn't it? And different people in different areas of the country will differ.